I'm going to tell you 20 facts about ancient humans. Every single one sounds completely made up, and every single one is true. By the end of this video, the way you picture human history will be permanently broken. Let's start easy and work our way up to the ones that genuinely don't feel possible. Number 20. The last woolly mammoths were still alive when the Great Pyramid of Giza was already standing. We think of mammoths as ancient, Ice Age creatures, but a small population survived on a remote island until around 1650 BC. The Great Pyramid was finished around 2560 BC. That means when the last mammoths died, the pyramids were already nearly 1,000 years old. Ancient Egyptians and woolly mammoths existed at the same time. Number 19. Cleopatra lived closer to the moon landing than to the building of the Great Pyramid. Cleopatra feels like the definition of ancient Egypt, but she was born in 69 BC. The Great Pyramid was built around 2560 BC. That's a gap of roughly 2,500 years. The moon landing was 1969, about 2,000 years after her. Cleopatra lived closer in time to Neil Armstrong than to the pharaohs who built the pyramids. Number 18. Oxford University is older than the Aztec Empire. Teaching at Oxford began around the year 1096. The Aztec Empire wasn't founded until 1428. By the time the Aztecs were building their capital, Oxford had already been teaching students for over 300 years. Number 17. Mammoths and pyramids aside, here's another overlap. The last mammoths were still alive when humans had already invented writing, the wheel, and beer. Civilization was well underway, with cities and kings and written records, while actual mammoths still walked the earth on the edges of the map. Number 16. Neanderthals had bigger brains than we do. We picture them as dumb, grunting cavemen, but the average Neanderthal brain case was actually larger than the modern human one. Bigger brain didn't mean smarter, but it does shatter the cartoon image. These were not stupid creatures. Number 15. Neanderthals made art. For over a century, we assumed only modern humans were creative, but Neanderthals painted on cave walls, made jewelry from eagle talons, and used pigment to decorate objects tens of thousands of years ago. Some cave art in Spain may be too old to have been made by anyone except Neanderthals. Number 14. Almost everyone watching this video is part Neanderthal. If you have any ancestry from outside Africa, you carry roughly 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA in your body right now. They never fully went extinct. They merged with us. A piece of them is still walking around inside you. Number 13. And because of that, here's a fact that breaks people's brains. With 8 billion humans alive today, there is more Neanderthal DNA on Earth right now than at any point when Neanderthals were actually alive. There were never more than a few tens of thousands of them. Now, their genes live inside billions of us. The species that went extinct is more widespread today than it ever was. Number 12. The Neanderthal DNA inside you isn't junk. It's doing things. Scientists have found that the Neanderthal genes modern humans kept are heavily concentrated in our immune systems. When ancient humans left Africa, they had no resistance to Eurasian diseases. Neanderthals had spent hundreds of thousands of years building that resistance. By interbreeding, we borrowed their immune defenses. Your ability to fight off certain infections may come directly from them. Number 11. There wasn't just one kind of human. For most of history, multiple human species lived on Earth at the same time. Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, Denisovans, the tiny Homo floresiensis, and others, all coexisting. As recently as 40,000 years ago, you could have walked the Earth and met several completely different species of human. We are strange precisely because we're the only ones left. Number 10. We know an entire species of ancient human almost entirely from DNA. The Denisovans were discovered not from a skeleton, but from a single fingerbone fragment in a Siberian cave. Scientists sequenced its DNA and realized it belonged to a completely unknown human species. For years, we knew them as a genome with almost no bones. We had their entire genetic identity before we had their face. Number 9. Ancient humans performed surgery, and not simple surgery. Archaeologists have found ancient skulls with neat, deliberate holes drilled into them, a procedure called trepanation, to relieve pressure on the brain. The shocking part? Many of the skulls show signs of healing, which means the patients survived. People were doing brain surgery thousands of years ago with stone tools and living through it. Number 8. It gets more precise than that. In 2026, scientists described a Neanderthal tooth from a Siberian cave, showing signs of the earliest known invasive dental procedure. Someone, tens of thousands of years ago, was working on another person's teeth on purpose. Ancient dentistry, before farming, before writing, before metal. Number 7. Ancient humans were the same size as us, and sometimes stronger. The image of tiny, hunched cave people is wrong. Many ancient humans were tall, muscular, and athletic. Neanderthals in particular were extraordinarily strong, with denser bones and more muscle than the average person alive today. If one walked into a modern gym, it would outlift almost everyone there. Number 6. The pyramids were so ancient to the Romans that they were already tourist attractions. When Roman soldiers visited Egypt 2,000 years ago, the pyramids were already older to them than the Roman ruins are to us. Ancient Roman tourists carved graffiti into monuments that were, even then, impossibly old. Number 5. Ancient humans survived a near-extinction event. Genetic evidence suggests that at one point, the entire human population may have crashed to just a few thousand individuals. Every single person alive today descends from that tiny group of survivors. We came within a hair of vanishing completely before our story even really began. Number 4. Some of the oldest structures on Earth were built before agriculture. At a site called Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, hunter-gatherers built massive stone temples with carved pillars around 11,000 years ago. That's before farming, before pottery, before the wheel. People who hadn't even invented agriculture yet were quarrying and raising giant stone monuments. Number 3. Ancient humans buried their dead with flowers and care, long before religion as we know it existed. Graves tens of thousands of years old have been found with bodies arranged deliberately, covered in pigment, surrounded by tools and ornaments. Some Neanderthal burials suggest they too may have grieved their dead. The instinct to honor the people we lose is far older than any civilization. Number 2. Human beings almost certainly told stories around fires for tens of thousands of years, and some may have survived. Certain myths, like tales of a great flood, or of a figure who steals fire for humanity, appear across cultures that never made contact. A few researchers believe some of these stories could be genuinely ancient, passed down by mouth across hundreds of generations, older than every written language on Earth. And number 1, this is the one that breaks people. Every human who has ever lived, every pharaoh, every emperor, every person in every photograph, every ancestor you've ever had, all of it happened in roughly the last 300,000 years. But anatomically modern humans, people with bodies and brains like yours, looked up at the same moon, felt the same fears, and loved the same way you do for over 90% of that time, without leaving a single permanent mark we can find. Hundreds of thousands of years of people exactly like you, who lived entire lives full of love and grief and wonder, and then vanished completely, leaving nothing behind but a handful of bones and the faint echo of a fire. We remember the kings and the monuments, but almost everyone who was ever human was one of the forgotten ones. People just like you, who looked up at the same sky and then disappeared. That's the fact that should stay with you. Not that ancient humans were different, but that they were exactly the same, and we forgot them anyway.